So today's video is going to be a little bit different. Right away, you might be able to notice something is up with this half of my face. So, I know this is a book channel, but I figured this is something that I have been dealing with for the past month or so. So I just kind of wanted to not like document it or anything that dramatic, but I figure maybe if I make a video about it, it might help somebody that's kind of dealing with it, or maybe they don't really know what's wrong with them, and like maybe it'll help them figure it out. Like, it's not something that's uncommon, obviously. You can tell what it is from the title. But, you know, I just figured maybe it would help somebody. So if you can deal with looking at my weird blinking and my strange asymmetrical kind of face, hopefully you will get something out of this. So today is August 21st, I believe. I probably should have checked the date before I started filming this. Monday was the 19th. Nope, it's the 20th, sorry. So today is August 20th, and this started July 18th. So to preface this, like, kind of add a little bit of a disclaimer, I'm not blaming doctors. I might sound a little like negative towards some of the doctors at some points, but I've just been feeling very, very poorly lately. So, I mean, it's nothing against them. I haven't been feeling well. You know, when you don't feel well, you kind of get irritated a lot easier. Nothing against any of my doctors. And I did make some stupid decisions about like not going to doctors when I should have, or like downplaying things. We'll get into all of that. I'm not the type of person that gets sick, ever. I never get sick. I get one good cold a year. I don't get headaches. I've never broken a bone. I'm in relatively good health. I'm a little overweight, but like, you know, my heart rate, my blood pressure, cholesterol, everything is great. And my doctor always tells me how great my health is. So, you know, this is coming from a person that's never sick. I was freaking out a little bit. I didn't really know what to do. So yeah, that's kind of the preface for this. So we go back to July 18th. July 18th was a Thursday, and I remember as I was going to sleep, I felt kind of feverish, and I said, well, that's a little weird. Like, there's really no reason for it. Like, our house, we had AC on. Like, I shouldn't have been hot. Like, I just felt a little weird. So I was like, okay, I'll sleep it off. I'll see, you know, I'll probably feel better in the morning. So I went to sleep, woke up that Friday, went to work. I was still very feverish. Like, I felt worse. I kept trying to like find hot spots at work to stand in because I had chills and I was cold. So my husband was kind of like, well, that's a little weird. Like, you know, you should really take it easy. But on Saturday, July 20th, we actually had my brother's graduation party to go to. And this weekend, if you're from the Northeast, which I think like a lot of tick-related things happen in the Northeast. I don't know if that's true or not, but I feel like that's something I read somewhere. So you might be from the Northeast. It was that weekend that was like 95 plus degrees. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, it was so, so hot. And this party we were going to was at a lake, and it was outside. And so we were just kind of like, well, you know, let's just see how I feel. Like, I don't want to miss out. This is a huge thing for my brother. Like, I want to be there. So even though I still felt like crap, I had woken up that morning, I still had a fever, and I had developed kind of like a pressure, almost, it felt like, behind my eyes. And like, so if I looked to either side or up, it just like, it was kind of painful. And I was like, that's not right, but you know, we'll just, you know, we'll deal with it. So we went to this party. I kept feeling worse and worse. Like, we were planning on camping overnight, which we ended up doing. We stayed in a tent in 85 degree weather. Like, it was 85 degrees overnight, and we stayed in the tent. And the next morning we woke up in the tent, and I was kind of like, the pressure was still there. I still felt feverish. At this point I was like, well, maybe it's just because it's so hot out, you know, whatever. But then I realized when I tried to get up, I had a pain of my neck, which I do have a history of like having a tight spine, like up my neck. My doctor has actually cracked it for me before. Like, it's a thing. So I didn't really think too much of it. I was like, well, this pain's in like a little bit of a different place, but you know, it's not anything unusual for me to have neck pain. So I kind of ignored that, but overall I was just feeling really like run down and kind of yucky. And again, I attributed it to the fact that I had just slept in a tent, but like not gotten a great night's sleep. It was such a busy day the day before. I was already not feeling well. But we were supposed to meet up with my brother and my mom and go to breakfast, and I ended up texting my brother saying, look, I'm really not feeling well. I think we're just going to head home. So we went home, and that Sunday I ended up kind of just hanging out. Like, we went grocery shopping, but I still didn't feel really well, and I just kind of hung out on the couch for the most of the day. I ended up developing more of a fever. I started actually taking my temperature. Sometimes it was 98 degrees, sometimes it was 101 degrees. It kept kind of fluctuating. But I was on the couch on, again, a 98 degree day or whatever it was. Granted, we had AC on, but I had a fleece on, I was under a blanket, and I kept actually walking outside in my fleece to try to get warm because I was just so cold. I had, like, chills. So at this point, my husband was kind of like, okay, you should probably go to the doctor. You know, make a sick visit, call first thing in the morning, like, don't go to work. So at this point, I was kind of like, okay, I really don't get sick like this. I've had a fever for, 4 days now? Like, maybe I should go to the doctor. So I called the doctor first thing on Monday, and they said, okay, yeah, come in. The doctor's not available, but you can see the nurse practitioner. So I saw her, and she said, okay, well, you know, you don't have a fever right now. You're saying you have pressure behind your eyes, like it could be a sinus thing. Is there anything else? And by this point, I had developed what I thought was a toothache. Like, I was like, I'm just having really bad luck right now. Like, now I have to go to the dentist on top of this. Like, what? So I kind of said, like, oh, I have a little bit of a toothache, I think. She said, okay, well, do you have any neck pain? And I said, well, this is where I shouldn't have downplayed it. But I said, well, I do have, like, a little bit of pain on my neck. But, I mean, it's nothing special for me. Like, I have neck pain a lot. Like, it's not a lot, but it's something that is in my history. I do get neck pain. So I kind of played it down a little bit. So at that point, she was just kind of like, okay, well, maybe you have a virus. Like, she mentioned viral meningitis, which kind of freaked me out. But then she said that, you know, if you have a virus, you just have to kind of relax. You know, I'll write you a note to keep you out of work today. And then, you know, just see how you feel. So at that point, and she did give me a blood work slip, but she said that if I started feeling better, I didn't really need the blood work. So at that point I felt crappy. So I just wanted to go home and like lay down. Again, stupid. Maybe I should have gotten that blood work done, but whatever. So I went home, I laid down, I couldn't take my head off the pillow, couldn't move my eyes. My fever went up to 102 that day. Like, so I just relaxed. And then luckily Tuesday, I was off work anyway. That's my normal day off, so I didn't have to go into work on Tuesday. And Tuesday, I developed a weird rash, almost. And it was just kind of all over, like little spots all over. And they weren't itchy, they weren't bumpy, they weren't like scaly or gross or anything. It was just little red spots. And I was like, oh, okay, that's really weird. But I mean, I have been really sick, so maybe my body's just flushing out whatever this is. At that point also, the jaw pain had gotten so excruciating, it almost felt like just two of my teeth in the very back were touching, and then none of my other teeth were touching. So at this point, I also couldn't eat solid food. And when I say I couldn't eat solid food, I mean like I couldn't even eat chicken noodle soup. Like, not even like soft noodles. I couldn't chew anything because there was excruciating pain in my jaw. I still had the pain in my neck. I still had the pain behind my eyes. I was still feeling feverish. And now I had these weird spots. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to relax today. If it hasn't gone away tomorrow, maybe I'll, get the blood work done or call the doctor again or something. So Wednesday morning I woke up. My neck still hurt a little bit, but it felt like it had gone away some. And the jaw pain was almost gone. The fever was gone. And the eye pain was almost completely gone. So I said, oh, I'm feeling better. Like, maybe I'll just go to work. I'm going to be fine. I'm getting better. She said I needed to relax. I needed to rest. If it's a virus, it's going to be gone. It's fine. I'll just go to work. It was a bad decision because, so when I first got the neck pain, it was almost like I could move my head like 45 degrees before there was pain. And then on the Tuesday, I couldn't move it. Like, if I moved more than this, there was excruciating pain all up, like, right here on the side of my neck. So the Wednesday, I went to work, and I realized that was a bad idea because while I was driving, I couldn't check my blind spots without neck pain. But I said, okay, that's fine, whatever. We made it. We're alive. We're at work. It's good. So then I worked for probably about 4 hours before I started feeling really, really run down again. So I ended up telling my boss, look, I'm really sorry I called out on Monday, but I think I need to leave. I'm still not really feeling great. So I went home early on Wednesday. That Thursday, I woke up and I was like miraculously healed. No neck pain, no fever, no eye pain, no, the spots were almost gone, like nothing. I don't want to say I felt great. I still felt a little run down, but for the most part, all the pain symptoms were gone and it was great. And I was like, ready to get back at it. I'm going to go to work today. Everything is great. I feel good. Like, we're going to do this. So I went to work and then, honestly, I want to say for the next probably week and a half, basically up until August 2nd, I was fine. I felt run down. I felt very tired at the end of the day, and I felt kind of not quite right. But for the most part, I felt fine. And I felt better than I had for the past week and a half. Or since July 18th, I felt good. So I said, okay, you know what? Maybe it's all behind us. Maybe I just need to finish recovering. Like, my body's just flushing out the last of whatever's going on with it. And then that Thursday or Friday, like the 1st or 2nd of August, I developed a little bit of a cough. And that Saturday, my husband and I had taken a 4-day weekend for like a mini vacation to just that was like our little summer thing. We took a 4-day weekend just to spend some time together. And that Saturday, so I developed the cough, and then that Saturday, the spots came back. And they were a lot bigger. So I had some on my torso. They had started out this big. Now they were this big. I had one on my arm. It started out about this big. Now it was this big. And more of them were popping up. So we're supposed to be enjoying our weekend together. This is the second time our weekend's together. I normally work weekends. The first weekend we took off for my brother's party. Got ruined by my health. This weekend we took a long weekend. Got ruined by my health because then I was worried about these spots all over again. That's the only thing that was wrong. I had a cough and the spots came back. None of the other pain happened. So, again, my husband said, maybe you should make a sick visit with the doctor. So, Monday morning, I called the doctor, made an appointment, went in. He looked at me. Now, one of the spots I had was right here on my elbow. It was round. So he saw that and he said, that looks like a tick bite. That looks like Lyme. So I said, okay, but what about the ones that are everywhere else on my body? I had them on both arms. They were on my back. They were on my torso. They were on my legs. And he said, oh, well, that's probably not Lyme then. That's probably hives. And I said, okay, well, I'm not allergic to anything. I've never been allergic to anything. And he said, well, hives can be caused by stress. And I said, okay, well, I was very stressed out being so sick a couple weeks ago, so maybe my body is just going through something. He prescribed me a steroid. So I started taking the steroid. Throughout the week, there wasn't really any improvement. And then by Thursday, they had actually spread. They had got onto my face. I had one wrapped around this eye, and almost it looked like it was into it, and the eye was like almost kind of yellow. And so I sent a message off to my doctor's office, and I said, look, on the Friday, I was like, look, I don't know how long these steroids are supposed to take to kick in. Like, should they be working by now? Because my symptoms are getting worse. And at this point, I had developed jaw pain on this side of my mouth. Nothing like the last one. It didn't hurt that much, but it was just kind of like a soreness to it. I still had this cough. I felt like it was getting worse. So, of course, by the time they got back to me, it was like 2:30 on Friday afternoon, and I work an hour away from the doctor's office, so they were like, can you get here in time for the doctor to see you? I was like, I don't think so. So they just said, okay, we're going to have him print you up a blood work slip, go get some blood work done, and we'll try to figure it out from there. So, and they said, if it gets worse over the weekend, you should go to urgent care and talk to a doctor there. So I left work early again, went to the doctor, got the blood work slip, like right as the office was closing. We found a blood lab that was open a little bit later on Fridays, got the blood work done, and one of the things that he was testing for was Lyme. So, among a million other things, they took so much blood. So then we, went about our Friday night. Saturday comes along, I go to work. At this point, my face especially is just like excruciatingly itchy. And again, they're not red. I mean, they're not bumpy. They're not scaly. They're not gross at all. They're just red and itchy, and they were burning. And then a couple of the other ones on my body were kind of burning, and it was just really uncomfortable. So I ended up leaving work early again. I went up to my boss and I said, I'm really sorry. Like, you can see on my face, there's an issue. I need to go to the urgent care. So I went home. I picked up my husband because I am a child and I can't do anything myself. And we went to the urgent care. The doctor there saw the spot on my arm and said, this is Lyme. And I said, okay, well, we have blood tests in for Lyme, but does that explain any of these other spots? Because they both focused in on just this one. And he said, no, well, Lyme wouldn't spread like that. Lyme would stay in the one kind of area. It wouldn't spread all over your body. So he ended up deciding the spots were actually not related. And I'm sorry, this is kind of TMI. It might be kind of gross. I don't know. But he decided that I had a fungal infection, which I don't know how I would have gotten that. I don't know where I would have gotten it. But he gave me a prescription for 3 days of pills and then a cream to use for 10 days. So I started using that. I took the pills. The cough went away. So I don't know if that had to do with the infection or what. But a couple days later, the cough was gone. The cream was working. All the spots were going away, including this one that was on my elbow that they both pointed to and said, oh, that's a tick bite. All the spots went away over the course of like that week or whatever. And that Monday and Tuesday, I felt amazing. That was last week. So, I wish I had a calendar. That would have been smart. But last Monday and Tuesday, I felt great. I felt better than I had in 3 weeks. And I thought everything was great. I was like, this infection's gone. All my other symptoms were gone. Like, maybe that's what it was. My body was just infected. And I just needed to get rid of it. Then I got a call on Wednesday from the doctor at the doctor's office that had run the blood tests. He said, you tested positive for Lyme. So we're putting you on an antibiotic for 3 weeks, which is doxycycline. I guess that's the one they normally use. He asked if I had known when I got bit by a tick. And I said, if I had known, like, I didn't say it to him, but it was kind of like, if I had known I had gotten bit by a tick, wouldn't I have done something about it? And like, hey, I have a tick bite. Test me for Lyme. I have no idea when I would have gotten bit by a tick. I've been outside twice this summer, and one of them I was already sick. So the only time I can think of that if it was this summer, which they say people live for years without realizing they have Lyme. So who really knows? But the only other time I was outside, like near woods or anything this summer, was the day after 4th of July to go see fireworks. We had walked through like a little bit of a wooded path. But I don't know. I have no idea. And they do say that a lot of people don't ever realize that they were even bit by a tick. They just eventually the doctors piece it together, test them for Lyme, and they have it. Yeah, so this was this past Wednesday. He called me. I went to the pharmacy. I got the antibiotic. I started taking it. I said, okay, well, I mean, I'm already feeling great, so this antibiotic should just kick out whatever else is lingering, and we're going to be good. It's great. Everything is fine. The next day, literally the very next day at around 11:30, this past Thursday, today's Tuesday, I was talking to one of my coworkers. He told a joke. I started laughing, and I said, hey, my face feels weird. So I didn't really think much of it. I kind of went to the bathroom and I kind of like smiled at myself, but it looked relatively normal. So I said, okay, maybe I'm just feeling like, maybe I'm just being weird. I don't know. But it felt like when you go to the dentist and you have Novocaine and then the Novocaine starts wearing off and you kind of start feeling that tingly, but you still can't really like rub your lips together and stuff. That's exactly what it felt like. So I said, okay, again, I probably should have called the doctor right away, but I said, all right, maybe it'll go away. I'll just go home today. I'll sleep on it. And then if it's still there tomorrow, I'll call the doctor. I got up on Friday. It felt the same. Maybe looked a little bit worse. Like my smile was a little bit more lopsided. So immediately at 5 o'clock in the morning, I sent a message to my doctor's office saying, look, I have numbness on the left side of my face. Like my smile's lopsided. I don't really know what's going on. I had read somewhere that you can get like a facial paralysis with Lyme. But I was like, what are the chances that I would get diagnosed with Lyme and then the very next day I would get facial paralysis? So they got back to me really early in the morning. They said, well, not really early, but they got back to me at probably like 9:20 and said, look, we have one appointment left for the day at 10:45 with a nurse practitioner, or you need to go to the ER. Your doctor would feel much better if you saw someone because we just need to make sure we know what's going on. You might have Bell's palsy and we need to figure that out. So I said, oh, okay, it's 9:30. I work an hour away, so I have to be there for 10:45. So again, I went up to my boss. I said, hey, I am really, really sorry, but you know, I'm having issues with my face. You can probably see the doctor really wants to see me. I need to go to the doctor. So he said, okay, you know, do what you gotta do. He was worried that I had a stroke or something. So I saw the nurse practitioner again. She made me make all kinds of weird faces. Like this one was my favorite. And she said, oh yes, you have partial facial paralysis. They put me on steroids for it. And that was Friday. So I took them Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. I'm on my 5th day of 7 with the steroids. And it hasn't gotten any worse. It hasn't gotten any better. But everything I've read online kind of says that it can take 2 weeks to 6 months to really heal up. But yeah, so for now, I guess this is what my face looks like. Some of my coworkers get a kick out of the fact that my eyes blink at different speeds. I don't know. But, yeah, so this is really weird. This is not something that I ever really thought I would have to deal with. I never really thought I would have to deal with Lyme because I don't really go outside that much. Again, this is a book channel, so you kind of can tell I'm like an indoorsy, bookish type. Not really. Not that I have a problem with being outside, but I do now because, you know. But yeah, so I mean, that's really it, I guess. I just wanted to kind of go over, you know, what happened and what my symptoms were, and I don't know if this would be helpful to anyone or if anybody even cares, or if I'll even post this. Maybe I'll watch it back and say, you know, nobody wants to look at this face for 20 minutes, but I don't know. This is what I'm dealing with right now. Other than the face, I actually do feel great. Like, I think whatever medicine I was on, or if it was getting rid of the infection, like whatever those doctors did worked. I feel really good. I'm like, my energy is back. I don't feel run down at all by the end of the day. I feel great. Like I'm about to start working out again, which I've had no energy for the past month. It's been a month and 2 days now. that I've been dealing with this, and I've just been run down, and like, but this past, like, from, like last Monday to now, with the exception of the face and finding out I had Lyme disease, I've felt really, really good. So I'm ready to get back into the swing of things. The face, I guess, I don't know. Like I said, some people say 2 weeks, some people say 6 months. My aunt had it at one point, and I think my mom said hers lasted for 3 weeks. But yeah, so it's just, this is something that I'm going to deal with for now. And I'm feeling really good. And yeah, again, I hope this maybe helps someone. I don't know. If you've had any of these symptoms, you should probably go to your doctor and see if they can test you for Lyme, because that might be what it is, or it might be meningitis, which is what they originally thought it was. So, and I've heard of that before too. One of my other coworkers, her daughter had Lyme disease, and they originally thought it was meningitis, and they went as far as to do a spinal tap on her, so I'm glad that didn't happen to me. But yeah, so these are my symptoms. I guess everybody's a little bit different, but yeah, I think, and when I went in for the face, I spoke to the same nurse practitioner that I had seen the very first time I went, and she said, man, like, I really wish you had had a couple more of those symptoms when you first came to see me, because I probably would have tested you for Lyme. And then we would have been 3 weeks ahead of this. The face thing might never have happened. Who knows? Like, it's really just a, whatever. There's no reason to really dwell on it at this point, but yeah, okay, I've been rambling now, so I'm gonna end this here, I guess. And yeah, I would say, especially if you live in the Northeast, if you've had any of these symptoms, or you think there's any chance you might have been bit by a tick and you're just feeling run down or like washed up, like whatever, ask your doctor to run a blood test, because it can happen to anyone, I guess. And you definitely don't want to deal with this, because I was in a lot of pain. And now I'm dealing with this for who knows how long. That sounds really vain. I should stop talking about my crooked face, shouldn't I? But I don't know. Yeah, okay. Well, that's it from me. I hope this was helpful to at least one person. I don't know. But yeah, all right. I'll see you next time. Bye.